Hello and welcome to the Tris Brina Show. I be the Tris.
And I'm the Brina.
And tonight we've got a juicy conversation.
That's right. Tonight we're going to talk about the hidden strength within sensitivity. So, are you a sensitive person? I am a sensitive person, and some people assume that sensitive people are fragile or weak or timid, but that's not necessarily true, is it? You sensitive person, you.
Heck no.
Because tonight we're going to talk about how to hone those skills of sensitivity to be a superpower, and how to look at being sensitive as actually having an edge above, like a super trait, like this extra sensory perception when you see it that way, and then how it's actually a neutral trait. It's not good or not bad, and how you can use it in all ways.
Amazing, amazing. Well, I don't know how many of you joining us live feel that you are a sensitive person, in that sometimes people say, I'm so sensitive, I feel everything, it shuts me down, right? I feel so much, I can barely handle my day. I was actually speaking to someone today who said, that's exactly how I feel. I feel like I feel everybody else's pain. Have you ever felt that? Maybe just a little. I don't know about you guys. Let us know in the chat if you're joining us live if you have noticed that. Perhaps you've become more empathic over time, right? That door of sensitivity has opened up wider and wider, and you're just not quite sure, how do I use it? How do I gauge it? How do I turn it into a superpower? Right?
You know, so Tristan just said to me, do I feel other people's pain? And I would say, or how about joy? Do I feel other people's joy? Do I feel other people's emotions? Am I sensitive in that way? Well, whenever I'm feeling an emotion, it feels like mine. It feels like mine. But for me, it's the sensitivity to what someone else is going through, and what someone else is going through, and then bringing that into like my own life and my own awareness. It isn't that I am channeling their energy. I'm actually feeling what that feels like for me.
Well, I have over the years come to understand sensitivity like a skill. It's something that I want to develop. Like in the martial arts, for example, when we were doing an exercise called sticky hands, my teacher would always say, increase your sensitivity. I want you to listen more with your hands. And the way the exercise worked is two people would be in like a fighting position, and one would be throwing punches slowly at first, learning towards the other person, and then the receiving person was redirecting through their sensitivity. And the more you could listen, the more you could perceive the intention behind what that person was going to do, and then you could be sooner and you could redirect. So sensitivity in that respect became a highly admired skill.
Same in dance, especially like partner dancing, to be sensitive to the lead. The more sensitive you are, the sooner you feel the lead, and the quicker you can respond.
So
it's regarded as you are a better dancer when you are sensitive in that way.
So,
but what's funny, and I saw this woman say this online, and it was so good. She said, you know, when you think about someone who is, they often call us highly sensitive. It's like this label, highly sensitive person. But if you Google like sensitive person, it's going to be someone with eczema, sunburn, food poisoning. It's kind of associated with someone who overreacts, who has a negative reaction to something. But that really isn't what it is at all. It's just their senses are different. So I'm going to tell you some of the things that I feel in me being a highly sensitive person right after Tristan shares.
well, I want to say the other part of that martial art analogy, and I'm going to use the yin and the yang, which we love around here so often, is the flow line down the center. That's bringing two energies into a place of balance where it's serving you. So if in the martial arts the person was punching and you became overly sensitive or hypersensitive, you would become more reactive and you would lose that skill of discernment. You would lose the ability to have the right timing, and you would push too far and expose yourself to get hit by the other hand. So it's definitely like a barometer.
Yeah.
You have something for the ego you call the egodometer, where if you go too far one way or too far the other way, you get into trouble.
Yeah.
But if you bring it into balance,
So
you're fine.
ego is a healthy sense of self. Where that conversation originally started was a lot of people were saying, well, that's your ego. Oh, you have that thought, that's your ego. It's like, no, ego is a healthy sense of self. So we're going to put that in the middle. Boom, that's a healthy
Same with
ego.
sensitivity.
And then you can take it one way or you can take it the other way.
And in the martial arts, if the student didn't have sensitivity, if they were too blocked with fear or too aggressive, they wouldn't have the skill to be able to handle the situation because they just couldn't feel and they would get hit. They were in a shutdown state, so they took it too far the other way.
Well, I had a big aha in thinking about this week's episode, things that I have thought and said my whole life that I felt like I needed to apologize for. I mean, so much. How many thousands of times have I said, could you please turn that music down? It's too loud. I'm more sensitive to volume than just an average person. I'm just more sensitive. They say 20% of people would be considered highly sensitive. If someone has a candle lit, I'll say, oh, can I blow that candle out? I'm starting to get a headache and feel nauseous because I'm sensitive to the smell more so than another person. So you can start feeling kind of like picky. You can judge yourself as being picky, but what if you're more sensitive to loud, you're more sensitive to smell. I'm actually more sensitive to a lot of foods than most people. There's a lot of food I'm like, I'm passing on that. My body is more sensitive to it. Isn't that okay? Some things like if we go to an amusement park and there's rides that like spin round and round and round, I seem a little more sensitive to that than most people. And I was thinking today, well, isn't that just okay? Isn't it okay that, maybe bright lights or loud noises or strong smells or certain foods, my body my senses pick it up in a stronger way.
Certain foods, you're incredibly sensitive.
Yeah.
This is starting to lead into the superpower, though, isn't it? Because you can perceive things sooner, like in the martial arts. That's a superpower. If I can read that punch was coming and I can be there already, I can respond sooner, right? So if you go too far the other way and you don't pay attention, like with garlic with this lovely lady over here, or what is it, truffle oil, if she smells even a whiff of truffle oil because her body is allergic to that, she will be sick out both ends. TMI! But now like in the past, you didn't know whether or not it bothered you. Then you knew, and then you weren't sure if it was in it or not, and sometimes you took a chance, and that wasn't a good idea. And now her sensitivity is increased. She can smell it on the pizza. Yes, we do eat pizza. She can smell it on the pizza for the table down there coming towards us, and she can smell it if it's getting put in front of her. That's an incredible skill, though, now. You're like, oh, that has truffle. They're like, no, it doesn't. You're like, go back and ask the chef. Just double check. I'm so sorry. She said, I would have been really sick.
They did us a favor. They gave us a bonus of truffle oil. Yeah.
It was like a gift. So she has that skill now. So you can see how if we understand how to use it, given this particular examples, now let's talk about emotional sensitivity.
Well, if you walk into a room and sometimes, we all walk into a place and we're like, something feels a little off. Something feels a little off. I'm probably going to feel a little off before somebody else because I'm more sensitive. Right. And isn't that okay? I've been in some hairy situations, and because I was sensitive and I picked up on something's not right early on, saved my life. Or even interacting with a person, let's say, or I'm in a group of people. Let's say there's a group of people. I'm more likely to pick up on someone else who is feeling something, right, or not having a good time, or on someone else's experience sooner because I'm sensitive to the energy. And in that way, if you are okay with, so earlier I said that being sensitive is a neutral trait, right? It's not the doctors don't say, oh, you're lucky you won the lottery, but they also don't say, oh, you got that. It's nothing. It's neutral.
Barbara said something on that I want to just throw in. She said sensitive always seemed like a character flaw. I shouldn't be so sensitive. Yep. So it's the judgment placed on it, is what you're saying. It's neutral. Okay.
And this big shift that's happened for me very, very lately to a greater degree is to say, I am sensitive. That's one of the qualities that I have. Not with any apology, but like, that's just part of what I came in here with. And isn't that okay? I even heard someone say that foods that a sensitive person is sensitive to may be foods that other people should think about before they eat them. That sometimes a sensitive person is picking up on things we maybe should or shouldn't put in our body or listen to just a little bit earlier because their bodies are a little bit more reactive in the senses. But I think that as a sensitive person, I'm also able to pick up on the invisible, the sixth sense faster. And even if I don't know I'm hearing it, seeing it, smelling it, feeling it, and I just don't know why I feel the way I do. And I think this is so important for a sensitive person to know that sometimes if you just feel, I just feel a little sad and I don't know why, it's okay. It's okay because you're sensitive and there's probably something in your environment that is just a little off. Now the key is always returning to your home and knowing that everything's going to be okay, but it can help you say like, hey, is there something that needs my help here? Is there something that I need to look at? Is it something that I'm thinking about or avoiding thinking about that's making me feel sad? So I just feel like sensitive people get a little head start. We get a little head start on a lot of things in life.
You know, the superheroes, right? Like the Marvel superheroes. Something happens that causes them to have a metamorphosis. Like Spider-Man gets bit by a special spider. And then these powers start to come to them, but they don't really know how to use them. Yeah. And they go through all these trials and tests to try to figure out how to cast the web, right? How to jump from one big rock to another. And in the process of learning how to use the superpower, they crash, and they send the web in the wrong place. And when you open up your sensitivity or come in with it, there's a skill of learning how to use it. And if you don't know how to use it, it could make you want to shut down. It could make you overreact. It could cause you to do something that isn't in alignment with what feels right for you. And so I think it's really important to see the sensitivity as a skill that needs to be developed and not to be afraid of it, but to lean into it with curiosity. Like there's energetic awareness. You were talking about walking into a room and noticing, and you could feel afraid because you cast judgment on the feeling. It's when the mind gets involved, says, I'm too sensitive, I don't know what to do, I need to shut it down. Well, that was a part of the fear mind and the fear body coming in because it didn't have the skill. It didn't know how to cast the web yet. And so if you've had that, if you've been holding back with it or finding that you have the skill but it's being rejected by others, let's say that you're in training and that you're figuring out what's the through line, what's the perfect balance of using that skill. And so rather than casting a judgment on it, be more curious as to what is this trying to show me? Like emotions, that's a guidance system. So if you're feeling sadness, get curious as to what's going on here. My door is open. I'm feeling this. What is it designed to teach me? We met someone recently who's an intuitive, and she has incredible capacity, like you do, Sabrina, to feel everything. And she's in the service of helping people transform and go through different stages of their life that are hard or painful or challenging. And at first, she used to take on the other people's pain. And she used to feel debilitated by that, or she'd work with them and feel exhausted. I know some of you body workers, light workers, coaches, you guys feel that. You work with people and then afterwards you took it on and it drained you. It's because you took it on and that wasn't your job. Your job was to facilitate, to participate in that individual's healing. So we have to find these boundaries and sometimes even barriers where we stay protected. We still have the skill. Sometimes Superman had to look like Clark Kent and walk through the world like as the normal guy, and then there's a moment where you rip the shirt off. Oh, maybe that's why I wore the jacket today. and then you become Superwoman, right? So think of it like that. Lean into it with curiosity and don't cast judgment on it. And I bet you can convert it into a superpower.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's more learning there, but that's one way of starting to look at it.
If you simply decide that your emotions are your guidance system, then when you're feeling something, instead of judging yourself for feeling it, you can frame it as though, what is my higher self trying to tell me? Where is my higher self trying to take me through this feeling? And embrace it as like your feeling is your best friend. Because here's the great news. I might sometimes cry the fastest in the room.
I'm right there with you, babe.
But guess what else? I'm going to laugh first too.
Yes.
I'm going to laugh. I'm going to be delighted. I'm the first to like freak out when I see a dog. I'm so freaking happy. No one's happier than me when we're like out and about and I see a dog.
Yeah.
And no one is heart is cracked open when they see like an older couple walking, holding hands, and like I can just walk behind them and cry and be in awe of what they have. So it's not, some people think I'm too sensitive. I feel all this horrible stuff. Well, you're not looking at the other stuff that you get to feel. We get to feel sensitive to everything. You know, I wouldn't trade it. I absolutely wouldn't trade it. Should I tell a little story?
You should tell a little story, and then I have a little picture for later.
That's what I was going to tell.
Okay, go for it.
So this past weekend, we took some time together. One of our friends organized a little retreat for just a handful of couples. And we spent time talking to other couples, sharing what's going on, meditating. We all stayed in a house where there was a pool and areas to walk and had good food. And it was just really time for us. And everyone there pretty much was a business owner. And it was really nice to say, no laptops were opened for a couple of days, and really beautiful to be with the person you love in that way, and to be with other couples in a similar situation. And so it was such an invitation to explore within for each and every one of us. And for me, I was really looking at this topic we're talking about tonight, that sometimes I feel so emotionally moved that I can't speak. And I feel like if I could not feel so much, I could get more said.
It's hard to talk when you are so emotional.
But thinking of it as this, putting the word sensitive on it, but subconsciously I was also putting the words sensitive meant feminine and soft. And I spoke to one of my clients yesterday who said, I want to feel more because growing up, my dad told me I was too sensitive and that was too girly. I'm like, okay, so a lot of us feel this way. Anyway, the couple days is over and we're heading home, and Tristan says, do you want to go to Whole Foods with me? And as we drive there, I just have this thought, and I'm trying to reframe thoughts that just bubble up as hits, callings, ideas that are guidance. And I felt called to go shopping. I felt called to go to Home Goods.
Funny how you have these intuitive hits.
And I thought, we should go to Home Goods. Now, let me just...
What's Home Goods?
Everybody knows.
Everybody
Home
knows
Goods is a store that has lots of goodies for your home. And the inventory switches a lot, and everything is like always a great deal or interesting. They have a lot of eclectic things from all over the place. And just to be clear, we do not need one more thing from anywhere to come into our home. Our home is completely full and done. So I didn't say anything, and we kept driving, and I thought again, I should go to Home Goods because I could buy something that's going to remind me to remember the strength of sensitivity, because I was really feeling like sensitivity is also Mother Earth. It is grounding, and you can be such a strength for other people when you're sensitive. like Mother Goose. I think of Mother Goose that opens her dress and all the little kids can run under it, and the Nutcracker. And so I said, okay, I'm just going to say it out loud. And I said, Tristan, do you want to go to Home Goods? And he was like, no, not really. I'm like, okay. So he said, maybe after. So we got to Whole Foods. We took a little walk. We did our shopping and we're heading home. And I said, yeah, I really want to go in Home Goods. And I haven't told Tristan any of this at the time, right? I didn't. He just thought she wants to go shopping. And
I'm thinking exactly what she said. We don't need another thing for our house. If this is just like a museum event, okay.
So I'm thinking that with this calling, I'm going to go in there and this trinket, this little thing is going to call out to me. And then I'm thinking, I wonder what it'll look like. I bet it'll be sparkly. I bet it'll have glitter. It might have wings. It's going to be feminine. It's going to be very pretty. And I'm going to put this trinket somewhere, and when I look at it, I'm going to remember the strength of sensitivity. And I'm going to remember this weekend when I really embraced that sensitivity, the feeling of like mother grounded in the earth, and that is a power. And we all shared a word or two before we left the gathering of the couples, and my words were centered and strong. Those were my words. So I go in Home Goods, and we were together for like one aisle, and then I'm like, okay, see you. And I just start walking up and down the aisles, like here, trinket, 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 here, trinket. And I go up and down every aisle where I thought I would find her. Nothing. Like, well, maybe it's like over with the paintings. Maybe somebody put it somewhere. I went up and down every single aisle of the store, and definitely, it wasn't even like, I wonder if that's it. My trinket wasn't there. And I thought, okay, I was off. And as I'm walking down the last aisle towards the door, I see Tristan. And he is saying, look what says it should come home with us today.
It's a cute little trinket.
And in that moment, I didn't really realize what was happening. I was like, what? What? And he's like, hey, it's a 30-day thing. We can bring it back in 29 if you don't like it. And later I realized that it was the biggest divine joke, because this was exactly the trinket that I was supposed to have to remind me of what being sensitive looks like, of what being strong and centered in your sensitivity looks like.
And here it is. That's the little trinket. I'm resting it on my leg there. It's actually a little heavier than you think.
It probably weighs as much as this trinket here called Sabrina, because I could not even lift it. But the face is so beautiful and it's so present. And then I remembered that during the conversations of the couples, one of the ladies turned to me and she said, every time I look at you, I see a lion. And all of these things started falling into place. And I realized that what is in me that is sensitive, that said, go to Home Goods so that they could have this fun little joke with me, but also to teach me a second lesson. Once again, sensitivity is power and courage and stands at the top of the mountain. The sensitive person looks out for others. The sensitive person is grounded. It didn't have sparkles and glitter and wings and long hair. Well, it had a long mane.
And my word was guardian. To feel the guardian of love and strength and sensitivity. And so we both got exactly what we needed. Pretty funny how that worked out.
Yeah. I mean, the lion is 4 feet tall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite
maybe 3 feet.
Quite the trinket.
But there's a strength in sensitivity, which is exactly what we wanted to talk about today. And so the lion was a beautiful teacher for us both. And I didn't think that there was something in the store that we needed, and apparently it was waiting. And that's sort of how this strength is. It's hidden within, right? And then you get to learn how to work with it. And so see your sensitivity as a beautiful gift. You know, I didn't cry for many, many years. And now I gauge my sensitivity on my ability to feel. And sometimes water comes out of my eyes, and I'm actually proud. I have completely converted my conversation here about what that means. I am so proud of this soul that it has learned how to feel and be receptive and to be present, because it gives me compassion. It gives me perspective that I never had before. I'm actually able to feel other human beings and what they're going through so that I can provide, if that's my role, compassion. Empowered compassion, not weakness, not feeling crippled by their pain. And I felt that too. Recently we shared about something we called existential nausea, feeling all of that pain and not knowing what to do with it. But I just witnessed it, and I watched it moving through, and I stayed curious. What am I supposed to learn from this? And I learned a lot more about compassion, and it's enabled me to show up more as a guardian, as that strength that lies within sensitivity. So don't be afraid of that sensitivity. Lean into it. Be curious. Ask it to show you and guide you, and practice casting your web. You know, you don't have to recluse or hide it. It's a beautiful thing. And if anybody else says anything other than that, you just remember what we told you tonight. You're a lion. Okay? That's a lion energy.
But if someone says something to you, if you have someone in your life that says you're too sensitive, if we just pause for a moment and think about what that means is, let's say with the volume of music, like, oh my gosh, could you turn that down? It's really loud. And they're like, it's not that loud. Your hearing is more sensitive than theirs. They can't hear what you hear. So they might label you as sensitive. You could turn around and tell them that they can't hear well, right? Yeah. But it's the same thing with feelings. So it might look funny to someone who doesn't feel, like watching the news or watching a commercial, to feel emotion, to feel like so proud of a human for overcoming something, or so sad when somebody missed the mark, but you're rooting for them. Like, I feel so much like that, and some people don't. I was with somebody this week, and we were talking about being sensitive, and she said, I really want to feel more, because sometimes I think I must be numb. And so we have to be kind to people who say they don't feel, and be okay with somebody looking your way that doesn't feel and calling you overly sensitive, because they are not, that's not their particular gift.
And we don't need to judge others. Just, you know, some people can turn their sensitivity into elitist and be a bit snobby about it. Like, oh, well, they don't feel the way I feel, right? Don't do that
Or
one
victim.
either. Or a victim. You can totally. I was in a beautiful Qigong meditation not too long ago, and I came in from where I was to another room in a space, and people were playing this really loud hip hop music. And it actually hurt me physically when I walked in, and I was like, I was in a very heightened, sensitive state. That vibration did not align at all with where I was at. And you know what? It was totally okay for me to leave the room and for them to keep doing what they were doing, because you can have multiple universes going on here. Like, if you are a highly attuned instrument, like a beautiful Ferrari, right? So attuned, you're not going to drive that Ferrari on a bumpy road with rocks and stuff. But if you like driving big pickup trucks, you know, with big tires, that's the perfect road for you. So everybody gets to play however they want to play, and you don't have to take your Ferrari down a bumpy road.
Yep, and you can play a different way every day.
That's right.
Right? Drive your truck one day, drive the Ferrari the next day, but never with judgment on what somebody else does or does not feel. We're not in a feeling competition, and it's not about putting each other in boxes. And that just I feel so much freedom. I feel so much freedom seeing my sensitivity as a gift. As a gift. I've earned this sensitivity in so many ways, because I know that at one point I tried to shut it off.
Right. Don't shut it
right?
off.
Because when you're sensitive, I feel like
Calibrate
you have
it.
two choices.
Calibrate.
You got to go all the way off
Mm-hmm.
or on. As a sensitive person, it's very, you don't really get all the volume button doesn't work. It seems to be either off or on.
By the way, the lion who I call Guardian, he was called Lionel for a couple of days. Somebody just said his name was Leo. I kind of like Leo. He sits,
Leah.
Leah, she, right by the front door when you're coming up the steps to the house, just as the guardian right there, sensitive and strong. Well, thank you. Good topic for tonight.
It's, I love how many of you are saying that that you feel the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and of course we do. That's why we all hang out.
That's why we like hanging out.
Right?
All right. On that note, we're gonna do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. If it feedbacks, it feedbacks. You're getting double. Echo, echo, echo. Much love, everyone. See you soon.
Oh, we forgot.
We forgot? I never
Our picture.